In Nicaragua, filing a nomination in the presidential election can put you in jail. 5 hopefuls dared to contest against President Daniel Ortega. They've all been detained, along with 10 other opposition leaders. The world is now calling Ortega a dictator and demanding action against him. Here's a report.
Another day, another raid in Nicaragua. This is the home of Cristiana Chamorro. She is one of the 15 opposition leaders of Nicaragua who have been detained on the orders of this man, Daniel Ortega, the president of Nicaragua. Ortega has ruled over his country for 14 years. Now he wants another term. So he is silencing his critics. At least 5 presidential candidates have dared to challenge Ortega in the upcoming election. All 5 of them have been arrested. Not just presidential hopefuls, 10 opposition leaders too are also behind bars. They've all been charged for vague national security violations. Ortega's critics say the president wants to crush all competition. Voting will take place on the 7th of November. Sergio Ramirez, the former vice president of Nicaragua, says the upcoming election will have no credibility.
The regime is aborting the possibility of any kind of elections with minimal credibility, and it never wanted to face the reality of an election where power could have been put in dispute. It seems that the root of everything is there.
The crackdown has met with a protest. Angry Nicaraguans have taken to the streets. International condemnation has followed. The United States has slapped sanctions on Ortega's daughter and allies. At the United Nations, 59 countries have signed a joint statement to express concern.
I call on the government of Nicaragua to urgently change the course of action that is taking place in the face of the electoral process. This implies at a minimum immediately releasing all persons arbitrarily detained, seizing all acts of persecution against dissenting voices, restoring the rights and freedoms that make possible a free, credible and fair electoral process, and revoking restrictive legislation of the civic and democratic space.
Regional powers are trying to put pressure on Ortega. Mexico and Argentina have recalled their ambassadors. The United States has called on the international community to treat him as a dictator. But rights groups feel these measures won't help until Russia and China put pressure on Ortega.
Will be resistance from countries like Russia and China, among others, right? They won't be alone. But there will always be resistance. That shouldn't stop us from at least talking about issues. And one thing that I have learned in my decades of following the UN is just having an issue discussed at the Security Council, formally or informally, does a lot to get governments to think about, they start to get scared. They're worried that they're under the microscope. It's a very powerful tool.
Ortega rose to power in a democracy. Now as president, he is dismantling it. His desperate bid to stay in power has now earned him the tag of Nicaragua's second dictator. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.